Jesus says that he is the light of the world. Whoever walks in him does not walk in darkness, but has the light of salvation. In him, Jesus, is life, and that life is the light of men. When Jesus comes into your life, he lights you up. And even though we have it in jars of clay, our light can emanate to all those around us. And Jesus actually calls all of us, individually and collectively as his church, to be his light in this dark world. Here's how Jesus says it. Now you are the light of the world, a town built on a hill that cannot be hidden. He says, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your God who is in heaven. How do people know that we have a good God in heaven? When they see your light, when you let it shine, when we let it shine. That's how they know that we have a good God in heaven. And as a church, we've been in this 2-year-long process discerning about direction and identity and what God's calling it. And right at the dead center is this light. What if God is calling Lifehouse Church to be a lighthouse in this community? What if those who are going through discouragement, those who are going through difficulties, those who are weighed down with the burdens of this life were to find life here? We're asking the question of what would it be like if Lifehouse Church was a lighthouse to this community? Because here's the reality. Most of the families in this community are disinterested or disillusioned with the church. Over half of the individuals here that drive by our campus every day couldn't care less. And we're not going to stand by and watch them drive by and drive off a spiritual cliff. What are we going to do? We're going to be a lighthouse, beckoning them to find the safety of Christ's shore and be a light to them. Now, the fastest growing religious demographic in our community and our country is the nuns. They don't want anything to do with God. Half of marriages that begin now in our culture and in our country end in divorce. The next generation increasingly is becoming dissatisfied and disinterested with the church. But what does that mean? That means we got a wonderful opportunity to be a light in this dark world. So what if everyone in our community knew that TLC was the place where you went to experience full life for your family? What do we mean? Forgiveness, freedom, forever life that is fulfilling in this world where so many are drowning in secularism. We want to be a lighthouse beckoning them to find salvation. So as a church family, we've been discerning and discussing in many gatherings, and here's what we're declaring. We're saying by 2034, we see the Lifehouse Church being transformed from an aging rural outpost of a few hundred on the edge of the South Placer County suburban sprawl to a thriving hub that is connecting thousands of families in a high-growth area along I-80 and Highway 65. You know this. Has this community changed a little bit in the past few years? You better believe it. It is one of the fastest growing communities in the United States. 15 to 20% growth rate right here. And you can look around and just see that, but God is flocking families to the great school system, the new eateries by, all the shopping, all of that is bringing people here. What does that mean? We have an opportunity to reach those who don't know Christ and share full life with them. So we will build a network of relational bridges personally and through our campus to connect lost and lonely families to Christ and his caring church. Why? So not only will we reach them, but they can reach their kids and their grandkids and for many generations to come This is how God designed it. We're always one generation away from extinction. But he challenges us and equips us to pass our baton on of faith. So we see a fourfold strategy to become a lighthouse, to become an irresistible church, drawing in families to Christ. And what we see is a fourfold strategy. The first is this: continuing to build irresistible family ministries. What does that mean? Birth through college, continuing to pour fuel on that fire with wonderful volunteers and leaders and a host of equipping come alongside parents at their faith fostering role in their kids' life. Deuteronomy 6. What do we see? Well, what we see is families as the God-designed place for faith to be passed on. And we want to partner with them as a church and equip them for that role. Number two, well, let me mention as well, family ministries. Did you know that 95% of people who end up becoming a Jesus follower do that before the age of 30? How many? 95%. What does that mean? It means if we want to yield the greatest harvest for God's kingdom, that means we got to focus on the next generation. We got to reach them when they're young in family ministries. But we cannot reach the next without the previous. And that means we need at least 5 adults that love and care and are fire for Jesus pouring into kids' lives. At least 5 in every single child's life for them to foster that faith in their life. It can't just be their parents. So we see each person connecting in sports ministry and connecting in our next generation ministries, connecting in schools, on campus, wherever God would lead you, but pouring it in and paying it forward. Number 3, irresistible personal faith. Our light shines. Like that's how it works. Others are drawn to Christ through us. We are Jesus with skin on. What does it mean? It means be a God lover. You are on fire for Jesus Christ. You love him and you're leading others to him by the way you live your life. And then number 4, an irresistible campus experience. It's using this physical campus to bring spiritual life to the lost and many in our area that don't know Christ. So we envision 2024 as a pivotal year where we step out of the boat in faith. And we embark as a church family on an exciting journey of generosity and sacrifice. Why? For the sake of revitalizing our church campus and expanding ministries to better live into our mission and reach many more families for Christ. And here's the thing, your opinion and your involvement matters. And so what we're doing is sharing with our church family our dreams and desires, and we're asking you to pray, for you to consider, for you to seek God and see what he wants to do in us and through us. And so we're going to go through that here in just a moment. Part of our Irresistible initiative is phasing out a campus build out. And the first stage is you got to take care of what you got before you build more, right? Taking care of what we got and bringing it up to the new generation that is coming into our community. So part of that is outdoor upgrades, expanding the next generation community park out back, many more sports programs, many more outreaches to the community, many more youth events, all of that. Installing 2 new crosses. Who wants a cross, right? Maybe here, out there. Absolutely. Do you know the closest other church to Sierra College is a Mormon church? Thousands of kids on that campus every week. The next nearest one is a Mormon church. Do you know what separates this church from a Mormon church? The cross of Christ. That's what separates. I want them to know that, and we want to be a light for this community. Now, updating indoors as well, our worship center, some technology upgrades, as well as lighting, renovating outdated kitchens and restrooms. And then for our building itself, it's renovating the entire exterior of the building, inviting new look, adding a front courtyard shade space so we can utilize it before and after services in any weather. Can you imagine just utilizing that as a fellowship opportunity? That's what we want to do. Now, here's the thing. I want you to go on a journey with me. Just envision this. someone's new to our community and they move here and they don't know everything around here. They likely have family and they're moving into a suburb for the great school system and the great area nearby. Well, here's one family. It's actually my family. This is my house, right? So this is kind of what my house is. We're super blessed. We love it. Here's our neighbors. That's kind of what it looks like in this community. Here's what our front view is on the Highway 80, right? Pretty rural area. And as you continue on, that's maybe what they would see, just an open field. And then they pull up and they see our sign that is an outdated sign, pretty small there. And maybe you can see the church in the background, but not quite, kind of underdeveloped, underutilized. But definitely you cannot tell it's a church if you're driving the other way. Why? Because we don't have a sign facing the other way. We miss 250,000 people every single day that we're a church because it's not a double-facing sign, right? Also, the newest locations next to us are Outdoor World, right? You have Studio Movie Grill, you have Tesla, you have whatever. This area is nice, right? There's a lot of nice areas right next to us. Well, immediate adjacent to us is brand new eateries and locations. And the great thing about that is it's convenient and you can go fill your belly, right? Which is amazing. But one of the challenges is it means everything's new. Things like brand new and pristine. When you look around, here's our across the street neighbors, Shell Station, and then Quick Quack. They bring thousands of people to our campus every week. But the challenge is, here's what they see. Here is our front-facing view. And when you're looking at that, what kind of impression does it leave there? It's not the most impressive. In fact, Tom Hall, our elder chairman, he lovingly refers to sometimes the Church of Lifehouse as the Church of the Dead Bush. Because that's the first thing that people will drive by and they will see. And we just want to say, no longer that, right? And obviously we've made efforts there, but we want to kind of update the visibility there. When you go on campus, you can see some cracks in our parking lot and that it needs to be updated. Here's the front look, right? But when you go on, you kind of think that's an outhouse over there, but it's not. It's a water station, right? And it's not fully developed back there. And then when you go around back, I'm not sure how many have, what you see is some dry rot and mold on the wood parts. And then here, some mold there, and it's not quite fully walkable around the side of the building. Don't have the pillars on this one. Some dry rot there, some storage sheds and AC units that we've actively been replacing. Want to update the storage area here. It leaks. And then when you come around the side, that's the front-facing new look we're after. And then a shade cover. That's what we're after, to utilize that space for ministry, right? And instead of water kind of pooling right there, what if you came in and it was newly updated and you look in the worship center and when you look up, you don't see a hole in the ceiling, right? You can see that hole. And not only that, someone stepped through the roof right there and we need to update that spot, okay? Our kitchen area, this was not set up for a coffee house, but we got a coffee house. We serve a lot of people with the coffee house, and so we need to set it up for that space and outreach ministries. And so there's the dual floor. I don't know what's going on there, but some update in the kitchen and in the bathrooms as well. What if TLC looked like this? When they stepped on campus, they knew this is a space people could gather and find hope and healing, space for them to enjoy Christ in his community. This was kind of what the front could look like as you're driving on Sierra College and they see that cross and drawing them in. And then the back of the space utilizing for sports and ministry and all kinds of opportunity there. Kitchen updated. And then future phases, a full football field with a student and community center there, active throughout the week. Maybe school on campus, we would have a larger worship center and kids spaces. Potentially look like this inside. Now, I say potential because we all realize, right? These are dreams. It depends what God does, what exactly it looks like. But this is kind of what our hope is, what we would see. And it would make a huge difference, we think. Why? Because we're being a lighthouse to the community. Providing a space that is for them and their family. And we're going to leave this church better then we received it. We're going to be stewards of what God has given us here. And so, here's the Irresistible initiative, just a little bit more. First 10% of every dollar that would be given towards updating our campus in the first phase would go towards local and global missions. We care about that. We're going to prioritize that. Another 5 to 10% would be targeted at helping in a buyout of a 50-50 partnership here in our property. We, CIF, Church Investors Fund, we're in partnership with them 50-50, and we would work on a long-range strategy to buy them out so we could fully utilize this property. That would be our hope. That would take a number of years, but it estimated total just for this first phase, about a 3-year time horizon, $1 million. But your input and your involvement matters. And that's what today's about. We're just going to pass out these forms, and inside them, you will see something you can take home and read more about. It is our FAQ document, frequently asked questions about this. Also, an overview of what this initiative is all about and where it's coming from, what our heart is in it. And it's just designed to equip you. Here's what next steps would be. We would conduct a congregational survey related to the building plans. We'd analyze that, hear ideas, gather feedback, and then determine together the course of action. And God willing, if it's a green light and the Spirit's leading us there, we would launch into an Irresistible Generosity initiative early next year to update this campus and reach out to many more families. But it's going to be bathed in prayer.